Are you serious? Are you serious? Now, guys, I'm going to do a live broadcast, full show, starting at 12 noon. But I want to come in here right now. We've got some information I think is very important on Boot, Scootin' Putin. What? Boot, Scootin' Putin. Yes, Vladimir Putin. You know, when everybody's not looking, you know, when everybody's not looking, supply chain problems, prices of oil, inflation, elections, weird things happening. That's when Putin starts to move. He has massive buildup of troops along the border of Ukraine. He did this back in 2014 when nobody was after Obama withdrew troops from Iraq. Putin made his move on Ukraine while ISIS was rising up. Now, Biden has pulled the troops out of Afghanistan. People are still left behind, scrambling. Putin has moved his forces to the massive amount of troops to the border of Ukraine. A repeat. Is he going to go in again with the little green men and yet deny it? This is what we're watching. Let me put a shout out real fast if I could for Keto with Paul.com. That's www.keto or Keto with Paul.com. You see, Keto, the Keto diet, has been a hot topic for years now. And myself and thousands of other people have personally experienced some weight loss, certainly, when you and health benefits thanks to the Keto diet. Problem is staying on it. Tough, okay? But we've got a secret here. You can now get this amazing new Keto powder made by BioTrust. Go to www.ketowithpaul or www.Keto with Paul. Keto with Paul is a premium powdered form of the most ketogenic MCT oil called C8. It helps give you many of the benefits of the elevated ketones without having to completely follow that rigid guidelines of the keto diet. This really does work. Within weeks of taking this, three things will happen. First, it will really help control your appetite. Number two, it will help you lose weight. And number three, you'll have more energy. It just seems like you're ready to take on the day. Here's what I want you to do. Go to www.ketowithpaul.com or www.ketowithpaul.com. You'll be glad you did. All right. That's really a good product. It really is. All right. Now, here's what's going on because Boots, Scootin' Putin. Oh, I know I missed the eggs and bacon too. Believe me, I do. Oh, guys, I want you to pray for Heidi and my family today. The funeral for Brock's mother-in-law is starting in about an hour in Kentucky. And Heidi is officiating the funeral. And so pray for my whole family, Brock and his wife, Leanne. It's Leanne's mother who died. Her name was Debbie Bruner. She was a sweet lady, really a kind heart, a very kind soul, very, very kind and willing to pitch in and help anybody and everybody that had a need. And she loved the Lord. And so also my three of my grandkids, that is also their grandmother. And so pray for all three of them, Brock's children, and also extended family that Debbie had that came out of Florida, some that's come out of from Kentucky, those from Indiana, those from other parts around, and friends that are gathering there for that funeral. So Heidi is officiating that funeral. Now, this is the first funeral Heidi's ever officiated. But I told her she will do just fine. So pray for her. And also pray for, we never know when we're going to leave this world. Debbie got sick one day and died the next. We just don't know. We are in the end times, and we've got several people now that are sick. I'm praying for 3 different people right now with brain cancer, and we have people with heart conditions and people with leukemia, and folks that are sick with different things. I got a brother in the Lord with leukemia, and there's just people everywhere that truly need prayer, because we're living in these days, these times of great sorrow, great pain. And so we want to lift each other up in prayer. Okay. Now, here's what's going on with Boot Scootin' Putin. President Putin of Russia has started to move troops along the border with Ukraine again, just like he did 7 years ago. Moscow, U.S. media is saying that Russia is massing massive amount of military units along the frontier, along the border with Ukraine. But according to and that's by Politico and several American media, and also media from Europe. But Al Jazeera is saying that Russia is denying these reports that it's massing military units near its border with Ukraine. Well, of course, Russia would deny it because Russia denied they ever went into Ukraine in the first place and took Crimea. Tuesday's rebuttal came after the United States-based political news outlet reported that commercial satellite photos taken yesterday confirmed recent reports that Russia is once again building up troops and military equipment all along the border of Ukraine, which is the same thing they did 7 years ago. Now, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters there was no need to waste time on such low-quality claims. The movement of our military equipment and army units is exclusively our business, he said. Russia has never threatened anyone. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Tell Poland that. Are you serious? And oh, by the way, Russia, you how many times? Georgia? What about Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania? Are you serious? And oh, by the way, what about Ukraine 7 years ago when you went in and took Crimea and you still keep troops and keep pressure on eastern Ukraine? That's crazy to say we never threatened anyone. Ukraine, which is looked in as simmering conflict with pro-Russian separatists in the country's east that erupted after Moscow annexed Crimea in 2014, also denied the reports of fresh military buildup. The country's defense ministry said in a statement on Monday that no additional deployment of Russian forces have been observed near the shared border. I don't believe a word of that. I looked at the satellite pictures myself. So, boy, you can tell Al Jazeera is in the back pocket of Vladimir Putin. Wow. So, Boot Scootin' Putin can do what he wants and nobody's going to say anything. And if you do, they deny. It said the published videos could be an element of special informational psychological actions. What? The denials by Moscow came as the United States, which is an ally of Ukraine, said it was monitoring the situation. And the Washington Post quoted U.S. officials saying they were concerned. But after an uptick in violence in eastern Ukraine earlier this year, Russia in March amassed thousands of troops along the shared border, sparking fears of another major escalation. Now, Moscow later has announced a pullback and ordered the troops back to base. But both Ukraine and the United States said at the time the withdrawal was very limited. Ukraine and its Western allies are accusing Russia of sending thousands of troops and arms and armored vehicles and rockets and rocket launchers and all kinds of different surface-to-ground missile capabilities across the border to support the separatist fighting in the country's eastern regions. Moscow denies this and has repeatedly accused the United States headed NATO transatlantic military alliance of carrying out provocative activities close to its border. Now, the alliance says it is determined to reinforce the security of member states close to Russia following Moscow's seizure of Crimea and its alleged involvement in the conflict in Ukraine, which is currently an ally of NATO, but not a member. Ukrainian President Zelensky said on Tuesday that he had discussed the conflict with U.S. President Joe Biden on the sidelines of the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow yesterday. The United States continues to support territorial integrity and reforms in Ukraine, Zelensky said later on Twitter. So Biden's at the COP. He's over in Scotland. He's talking to the president of Ukraine. They're both agreeing that Russia is putting thousands of troops on the border again and causing some trepidation here once again. So every time everybody looks this way, Russia makes strategic moves. They always will. This is how they operate. They don't like to be the one that breaks the ice. They like to make moves when everybody is looking away. And China, they just continue to make moves constantly. And the United States really has been on the defense for some time now. We've really been on the defense. So is the United Kingdom, all of Europe. We've been on the defense for some time now. And we're concerned that, is Russia going to go ahead and roar in there and try to take half of Ukraine, maybe even take Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia? How about this? Will China take Taiwan, maybe even Singapore, maybe even Japan, or with some of the islands of Japan? I mean, there's a lot going on there right now. And in Australia, can't say much. And will the United States go in and defend Ukraine even if Russia does? I doubt it. Or will the United States actually go in and fight to try to protect Taiwan from Russia? I doubt it. I don't even know if we'd go in and help Japan. I'm worried we wouldn't even show up for Australia. Because right now, the leadership of this nation here in the United States is not focused on, I don't think we'd even support Israel right now. I'm very worried. So Israel's sitting there watching. I mean, look at these. There's three major areas. Russia may go in and go after half of Ukraine and those three Baltic states. Very well could happen. China may go after Taiwan and Singapore and possibly Japan. And the third option is Iran, with some of its radical proxies around the entire Middle East surrounding Israel, may make a move on Israel. These are the three hotbeds of possible potential attacks. And then you got North Korea, the wild card, who could actually be used as a spoiler. Could just start shooting missiles into Japan just to create chaos to help China. You have to watch that too. That's a wild card. Okay. So there's a lot going on here. I think we got to stay prayed up, prepared for everything that's happening. We're living in the end times. And really, is this part of the chaos, control out of chaos, the Saul Alinsky Rules for Radicals book that was written, that Bill Ayers, who was a communist, who was part of the Weather Underground, who started the whole Obama presidential campaign in his basement at his house in Chicago. Bill Ayers, who was a terrorist himself, he was a true terrorist, a true domestic terrorist. Not Christian conservatives, not parents standing up at the school board meetings, not wanting this garbage taught to their children. No, Bill Ayers killed 3 people when he bombed the restrooms in the Congress, and is a communist. And so it's Bill Ayers and the Clintons and some of them. And then later, Bill Ayers brought Barack Obama into his basement in Chicago and said, "I want you to run for president. I'll help you." That Bill Ayers, that's what I'm trying to say. The book that he highly recommends, and same book that Hillary Clinton said was her favorite book of all time, is called Rules for Radicals, written by Saul Alinsky. It's how to take down a democracy. So I'm just saying, I mean, sometimes I just sit back and let stuff go, but I'm tired of it. We're in the last days. Guys, don't miss today's live broadcast. I'll be back in an hour, and we'll address a whole lot of stuff, guys, when we come back, okay? So just be ready. We're running out of time.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about the good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. sisters, let's go down. Let's go down. Come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down. Down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and I shall wear the robe and crown commercially. Oh, brothers, let's go down. Let's go down. Come on down. Come on, brothers, let's go down. Down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about the good old way, and I shall wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way. Oh, fathers, let's go down, let's go down, come on down. Oh, fathers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and I shall wear the starry crown, the Lord show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down, don't you wanna go down? Come on, mothers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and you shall wear the robe and crown, good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sinners, let's go down, down. Oh, sinners, let's go down in the river to pray. Oh, sinners, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sinners, let's go down in the river to pray.
I'll be back at 12 noon with a full show. Tell everybody to be here.